Crosby, thanks for sitting down with me today. Great to finally shake hands and make the connection. We're down here in Chicago at ASTA, and I think this is your first trip down.
It is.
Yeah, it's all going well.
It's going very well.
Gorgeously warm outside.
Yeah, it's great weather and great conference.
Nice. So you've recently taken the helm over at CSTA.
That's right.
You're how long in now?
About 4 months. Started the end of July.
So you're 4 months in. Where are you hoping to take this? Or first of all, what drew you to the position, and then where are you headed?
So I've always been involved with agriculture. Right, grew up on a farm in Ontario and studied agriculture at university and worked with farm organizations over the years, and always had a relationship with the seed industry, and certainly, I guess the seed industry to me is one of those really important sectors in the whole value chain, and so it's where a lot of things start. The potential is in the seed every time a farmer puts it in the ground. So it's exciting to be able to work in the seed industry. And the other part, I think, with the Canadian Seed Trade Association is that we have over 100 companies that are our members. They're thriving, successful businesses. The people that work for those companies are really engaged and involved in the organization. So it's exciting to kind of work with people that have passion for seed and agriculture.
I think you chose the right word there, passion. There's certainly plenty of that in the seed industry, isn't there?
Sure is.
You're probably seeing a lot of that right now.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. Throw you right into the fire here. We have a negative trend going on with public perception of maybe the seed industry and plant breeding. What do you think? What do you think the seed industry has to do to address this trend?
Sure. Yeah, it's an interesting one because over the last little while, I think it's become closer to the agricultural industry and the seed industry, and that how important it is that the general public and the consumer has at least some understanding of what we do and how our businesses work. There's a lot of information out there. You can go on Google or social media, and if you have an idea or an opinion, you can always find somebody to validate that for you, whether it's correct or not. And that's one of the challenges we face. But I think if you look right down to what are we trying to accomplish as a seed industry, as agriculture in general, but also consumers, we all share the ultimate similar goals. We want to see healthy, affordable food. We want to see strong ecosystems, a protected environment, and we want to see good jobs. And so I think as a seed industry, we offer all of those things. We contribute to that. And if we can help by finding common ground and then build from there, and certainly there's some negative perceptions of new technologies, and a lot of that I think is driven by fear. A lot of times it's very easy to create a negative image in a 10-second soundbite, for example. But it's more difficult to explain the complexity of an industry and all of the safeguards and all of the things that we have in place to protect our consumers and our industry. You can't do that in 10 seconds. So,
no. And you can't do it if you have been trained as a group to be humble.
That's right.
I am reminded on an ongoing basis that we were all trained to be humble. We were trained to not necessarily stand up and talk about ourselves. Now what we're asking everyone in the industry to do is stand up and talk about yourself, because nobody tells your story better than you do. So I think that the seed trade is maneuvering. Do you get a sense of that the seed trade is seeing that there has to be more?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point you bring up. We haven't necessarily been trained to do these things, and we have an industry full of passion, and I think it's maybe surprised us a little bit that we don't. That passion isn't seen the same way by people outside of our industry, and so it's there. The other word I would use is integrity. Our companies, the people involved, there's a lot of integrity in this business, and that will be shown as we start talking broader.
Absolutely. So if we look at that, the entire seed industry, where do you see some opportunities? Where do you see opportunity for growth within the, and growth, and maybe success is a better way to describe it within the seed industry?
Well, I think if you look at the Canadian seed industry, for example, and I guess the global seed industry overall, there's been tremendous growth over the last 10 years. The Canadian seed industry is valued at over $5.5 billion right now. There was a recent study done to look at the economic impact. That's huge. And that multiplies throughout the whole system. And so, I mentioned we have over 100 companies active in the Seed Trade Association, but, operating in Canada. Those companies then are also investing in the next generation of products. There are research and development. There's been regular surveys done of investment into research by our member companies, and right now they're investing over $100 million a year into developing new varieties, developing new genetics, and so on. So that's setting ourselves up for growth and success. Really, the goal there is to deliver products that are in demand. Farmers see seed as a solution. When they buy seed, there's an expectation that has potential for them to make a profit and to grow a good crop. And so the expectations continue to go up, and I think the seed industry has an opportunity to deliver that. We're on the right track. You look at yield trends, you look at, quality, you look at things like, new technology for weed control, things like that. It's all working, and, I think there's a lot of success to be had down the road.
Right, and we got a group of people, i.e. farmers, that are looking for it.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Canadian farmers are, and, a lot of farmers around the world are early adopters of technology. When they see something that works and there's a new product out there, they want to try it.
Indeed they do. CSTA has worked closely with Crop Life as we have a neonics dialogue in Ontario.
That's right.
And then we can also say a ban in Ontario. If that was to continue across Canada, which we're not saying it is or it isn't, but if it was, what kind of an impact would you see that having on the seed industry in Canada?
So, I guess I would say, we've certainly had some serious challenges in the province of Ontario with a new regulation restricting use of neonic seed treatments in corn and soybeans. And so, really from a seed perspective and farming perspective, that isn't the direction that we would like to see things go. We have a strong national regulatory system that evaluates pest control products and pesticides, including seed treatments. And our goal is to have a science-based system that is effective. It protects everybody from things that aren't right, but it also allows products to get to market when they have good science behind them. And so, I guess it's hard to really predict the future, but I think we're optimistic that something that drastic is not going to happen.
Right.
These products, if you look at seed treatments in general, they're very effective at doing what they do in terms of low rates, very specific, targeted, all the things that you would want to see in a pest control product can be delivered through seed treatment. So it would be a real shame to see further restrictions on those.
It would indeed be, very much so. In the Canadian seed industry, we're seeing global players coming to Canada. We're seeing collaborations happening between domestic and international partners. We're seeing a lot of growth. What do you attribute this to? What's the...
Well, I think ultimately there's a few things in Canada that have set us up for growth. Over the last number of years, we've seen a strong agricultural sector. So of course, when farmers are being successful, they've had good yields, good prices, things like that, there's the opportunity there. And so they're out looking for new products that are going to deliver, down the road. And so that's driven some growth in the seed sector. I think the other part is, Canada overall is a good place to do business. We talk about our regulatory system. For the most part, it's very functional, it's predictable, and things like that. The other part is, I think we can't underestimate the value of the Canadian labor force and coming back to the passion and the people involved. If you look at what is a company, it's a group of people with a common goal and trying to develop products and bring them to market. And so, in Canada, we have a lot of people that bring that passion and the desire to be successful. And so that, I think, has driven it as well. There is another recent change that has happened in Canada, and that's amendments to our plant breeders' rights regulations and our ratification of UPOV 91. So that basically has brought Canada into a level playing field related to intellectual property protection and plant breeders' rights. And so that, internationally has made it easier to do business in Canada. We hope to see the results of that being very positive.
I think as I have more conversations with international players, there's just a confidence now. There's a confidence that they can make an investment and know that they're going to be, I like your language, in a level playing field.
That's right.
That's exactly what we want to have.
Exactly.
Crosby, you're just getting introduced to the large swath of the Canadian seed industry. And my last question for you is, what's one thing that you would like our viewers to know about Crosby that maybe they don't right now, that's going to help them better understand how you're going to tackle this position you're in?
Sure. So, I guess for one thing that I plan to bring to CSTA and to the seed industry is the ability to collaborate. And collaborate with our members to tackle common issues, but also outside of the seed industry and in agriculture overall. So, over the years, through working with farm organizations and research groups, what I've seen is collaboration pays off many times over. And so a lot of the challenges that we face and the opportunities that we have as the seed industry are going to be successful if our value chain partners are successful, so farmers right down through to the consumer. And so what I hope to bring to that is the ability to bring some groups together, look at common issues, things like consumer perception and public perception of seed, for example. That's very important, but it's not just seed. It's the whole value chain, and the way we produce our food is really what a consumer is interested in. So, so that's something I would really like to bring to the organization.
Well, Crosby, I think that matches very well with what I've been told in your previous position was that collaboration was a key element of your success, which is great to hear because we're going to need that collaboration as we figure out how to work internally within the seed industry with the seed synergy discussions and externally as we figure out how Canada fits into that international landscape as well. So I'm glad to hear it. Looking forward to working with you in the seed industry, and thanks for taking the time to sit down with me today.